we have a little clip from Jason's new video essay.
Oh shit! Fuck yeah!
After the writing, that if the jurors had seen, I'm paraphrasing, of course, the jurors had seen Rodney King as their brother or their father, the verdict perhaps would have been different. Yes, ma'am. You wanted to say what?
I just want to say I'm for the verdict. I'm not condoning what the officers did. I think they got a little bit out of hand, of course. But listen. Okay, I'm telling you, we did not see the first 60 seconds of that video. We did not. No. Did you? No, listen. The media.
Quiet,
listen to me.
Everybody.
The media is our number one influencing agent. And that's all we saw was what the media decided to put up on that screen. Exactly. But what did they show? They just showed that first 21 seconds, and that was it. What else did we see? Were you guys at the trial? Did you see the evidence? That prosecuting attorney, that defense attorney got to choose.
What do you mean? That did not give them the cause to beat him. They would have killed him.
I'm not condoning their behavior. I'm condoning the verdict.
Going on
the verdict was right.
On the video.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the defense attorney and the prosecuting attorney had a choice of what jury they decided to put up there.
To cause him to get beat like that before you even seen it on the video. What did he do to justify?
And they're saying he's not a dangerous man who drives 80 miles per hour in a residential.
Okay.
The Rodney King videotape had given Black America the visual proof that we lived in a society with a two-tier justice system. As the video made the rounds of a burgeoning 24-hour news cycle, hungry for content, pundits and activists deployed the discourse of racial grievance to sell policies framed in terms of transparency and anti-racism. Yet, there was a curious disconnect between this discourse and the reality of what happened.
I just want to say, after that woman was going on and on about the Rodney King verdict, I renounce my whiteness right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a tweet about it. It's gonna start, dear fellow white people.
You can do that. I didn't know that was an option. I thought I was stuck with this shit.
No. You could do. I might use the phrase, "You're all not ready for this conversation." that might be, I might go there.
I want to say, so whenever I put these things together, there's two emotions that run through me. I've already written the words, right? There's two emotions that run through me: humor and tears. Andrew and I talked about the one I did before this one, We Don't Need Another Hero. I put the Michael Brooks clip at the end, and there's tears. This one I put the right before the Rodney King clip ends, and there's a man screaming that he built his business for the people in the community, and they burnt it down anyway, and he's black like them, and no one cared. Tears. And then Rodney King, tears. But there was a lot of Oprah footage that didn't make the thing. Laughter. Like, if I kind of wish sometimes people would be here while I was making, so you could see. Like, if Ben was here, we would just be fucking probably wouldn't even be able to get it done on time because we'd be laughing at all, because there's so much to this shit. And what I wanted to do was I'm starting to see a conversation go back to when we always talk about the rise of Bernie Sanders and all this shit. The conversation went away from race for a minute to your material conditions. It's a very unifying conversation. It's a conversation that I wouldn't say been forced to have, but it's a conversation I have a lot in the spaces in which I exist. I've played heavy music for a long time. I'm a black dude that makes kind of more political heavy music. So you think the woke cats come out to see you, but you'd be surprised how many don't, right? But that being said, to have these conversations with people, you listen, you go, okay, I get what you're saying. But you have to explain material conditions. People go, oh, I get it now. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense, right? And what I found very interesting is the footage that I got, and there was a lot that didn't make it, before the King videotape. And I didn't say this in the essay, but the Rodney King beating, when it was recorded the next day in the LA Times, it was not front page news. It was page 8. It wasn't until CNN picked it up because they were looking for something to follow the Iraq invasion. The Iraq invasion was such great TV for them that they were like, fuck, it's over? Shit. So there was nothing more perfect than these cops, beating the bejesus out of King. Right. And the racial conversation that came out of it. And no one really wanted to talk too much about a lot of the underlying situations, the economic situations that had been going on in Los Angeles since '65. So then it was purely the police are the problem. But if you watch any news stories before that, it is gangs are the problem. We need to get rid of these gangs. They're shooting up innocent people. Drugs are a problem. They're destroying the community. Help us, help us, help us. We need more cops. Help us, help us, help us. We need more cops. After the Rodney King beating video, then it's like cops are the problem. Cops are the problem. Cops are the problem. What about the gangs? No, they're fine. This cops are the problem. Cops are the problem. Cops are the problem. So we're never really addressing any real issues, and nothing gets to the core of that for me than that conversation.
Right.
I fell out. I had to cut it because I kept going, I need to give him the first part because it's even funnier. Like, nah. This white lady is like,
yeah. No, I mean, if you have, if you're driving really, really, really fast, then obviously, obviously you need to have the shit beaten out of you, like while you're on handcuffs on the ground, like when you're, like after you're apprehended, because like otherwise you'll just teleport out of your handcuffs like the X-Men and you'll go back to driving that fast. Like that's that's just how that also, which remember, and I know you think that that's, I know all the white people watching, I know you think I'm exaggerating, but remember he was on PCP. I mean, PCP gives you the ability to magically teleport like that, like out of your handcuffs.
So Ben, here's something that always gets cut out of what the news was reporting. So one of the first things that the prosecution points out is Rodney King tested negative for PCP. So he was never on PCP. So that's part of the trial. Which
is like, I swear to God, I've heard that for decades. He was on PCP, which is like always like, it's like, okay, even if so, what do you guys think PCP does? Like, do you think it gives people superpowers?
I know when I was a kid, I really wanted to do PCP so I could get those powers everybody saw about.
But this is what's funny. If you watch a movie like Colors, there's a scene where Damon Wayans' character, who I don't even know if he has a name in the movie, he's wearing a diaper, an adult diaper, and he's trying to hump a stuffed animal in a toy store. And he's supposed to be on PCP. And then you watch a movie like Friday, Chris Tucker's character is smoking weed laced with PCP, and he's tripping out in a chicken coop. Nowhere there is anybody ripping the heads off police officers. So it's interesting that these cops started to think that PCP was the wonder drug. Now, there's a case that happened. This is actually very, very important when we think about the LAPD and the batons that were used. They're called like PR 23s or something, PR 24s. In 1982, a young black man, had gotten pulled over by the police for a cracked windshield. They gave him a ticket, and he was going home. After he pulled off, different set of cops came after him. And he was taught that if cops are following you and you feel uncomfortable, just go somewhere you feel safe. So where he felt safe was home. So it wasn't a high-speed chase.
Right.
It was like 40 miles an hour. Even the cops say it was like 40 miles an hour. It wasn't anything crazy. The kid pulls into his, I think it was like 19 or 20. Kid pulls into his mother's driveway. His mother comes out of the house, and she's wanting us to know what's going on. The cops are trying to arrest the young man. He was a black belt in karate, and he threw the cops off him. So they immediately go, well, he's on PCP. One of the I won't say none, but one of the arresting officers had never dealt with anyone on PCP. So anyone that pushed him, he assumed, well, this guy's on PCP. Now we got to F him up. So there was 2 chokeholds that they were allowed to use in LA Police Department. And for the last 3 years or so prior, numerous black people were dying. I think 16 had died in this year. And a lot were getting very, very badly injured in the transport going to the hospital. That's when you see Daryl Gates come out and make that statement that, well, the reason why these black people are dying is because their veins are different than the normal people, unquote. So they put the kid in the carotid choke, hog tie him. He's out. Throw him in the back of the car. He dies at the hospital. There's a documentary called LA Let It All Fall, 82 to 92. It's really interesting. And you can read about cases like that if you get City of Quartz. Mike Davis talks about stuff like that. And if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, LA Times has all their back issues on that you can find. 82, I couldn't tell you the date, but I know it's 1982.
I should say, just parenthetically, on Mike Davis, I did I think it was a Patron exclusive, but I did an episode about him like a year ago. It was while we were still
With
in
Micah, right?
with Micah. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, Micah did like a deep dive on Mike Davis. He read all of his books, which is a lot. Man wrote long books, and everything about that conversation is fascinating. The guy is like from just from like him, like Mike Davis, like just being like from like him, Mike Davis being kicked out of the Communist Party because he was like harassing the Soviet ambassador at like a bookstore, to like yell at him about the invasion of Czechoslovakia, to like getting into this like some kind of conflict with the other editors at New Left Review, and like was it like dropping this like bucket of like tropical insects or something on the floor? Like is a very crazy guy, but also this like really brilliant writer. Like he has including he wrote this book about with the like all of his books, but like the one about the that was inspired by the bird flu, that where he said it's called The Monster at the Door is the name of the book, and Davis basically says that America, we sort of got lucky with the bird flu, but America's medical system is not prepared for a major pandemic, and we're going to be completely fucked if one happens. It's just going to like overwhelm everything. And which he said like later, like when he was writing the they came out with a new edition after COVID called The Monster Enters, and he said like he had to like buy a new copy of his own book because he had like over the years since he wrote it, he hadn't even kept a copy in his house because like just seeing that book freaked him out too much because it like made him think about like how bad the preparedness was.
When I read Andres Malm's COVID Corona War Communism, kind of like that book that's letting the big fear is not going to be nuclear war. The big fear now is going to be some sort of airborne virus. But when you think about, back to
Yeah.
uh,
Yep.
the video essay, that case was a big case because it outlawed the chokehold soon after
Right.
that. And if you watch any footage from the cops post trial, especially Kuhn and there was another, I can't remember the other guy's name. Stacy Kuhn was I can't remember the other guy's name, and I'm not sad that I'm forgetting him. They kept saying, if they just would let us use the chokehold, this wouldn't have happened that way. If they just would have let us use the chokehold, we wouldn't have had to beat that guy. And they just wanted to beat that guy because they could. He was a big black dude that's not a murderer. So you can get the shit beat out of you. Right. Again, I think the people that are going to get the shit beat out of them are not going to be, it's going to be people that they can beat the shit out of.
Right.
I have a friend that works in the criminal court, and the things that I get to hear, we're behind a paywall. The things I get to hear her say about officers and judges is frightening, to the point where, they watch ass whoopings on the body cameras. They watch ass whoopings in the body cameras. Like, think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Everybody
Don't
post
even
this
bother turning the body camera off.
Dude, post this Rodney King shit. If you remember, everybody was like, we need cameras. We need cameras. We need accountability. If it wasn't for George, whatever the hell his name is, I can't think of his name right now, we would never know. Now everyone knows. We need cameras. Now these fools are using that shit like it's their own camera phone, taking selfies, whooping in somebody's ass. So, and this is not the evil of just white men.
Right.
This is a multiracial, multi-gendered coalition of ass whoopings. And and it gets kind of frightening when you think about it, that there are people within the court system that applaud this. This is law and order.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the multiracial is a really important point, which is made, if people watch the rest of that video essay, is a big part of the the takeaway, right? Because, like, okay, Daryl Gates might be like a Neanderthal racist, but even by the time Rodney King happens, right? I mean, the LAPD is actually pretty integrated.
Yeah, they're about almost 40% minority makeup, which actually kind of looks like the city at the time. And it was a multiracial coalition that went in and literally destroyed an apartment building. I mean, destroyed. Take the stairs off the building. They took fixtures off. They took all the kids' clothes in the apartment and poured bleach on them. Because they were trying to catch a gang, and the word was that the gangs were using older people as cover in these apartments as cover to run drug businesses out of. And all they found was, I think, a couple of rocks off 2 non-occupying people that were in the unit. So
yeah. I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I was just gonna say, I mean, like, I think the real thing, I mean, we've talked about this many times, so I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I mean, like, I think it's I think that it makes sense, and it's not coincidental when prejudice is part of the equation. But I mean, like, this doesn't come out of that's not the primary mover of this stuff. The primary mover of this stuff is that it's a way of managing the social ills of poverty that's cheaper in every sense. It's politically cheaper. It's literally financially cheaper than having an expanded welfare state. So I mean, of course, that's where they're going to zig when we prefer them to zag in the other direction, and given the I mean, I kind of hate getting to this point of the conversation because it always feels like such a downer. But I mean, like if like given that we don't really have an organized working class right now, there's not a lot to push things in the other direction at the moment, right? I mean, like you kind of need to, this is the frustrating thing too, right? Because it's like, we're all in the talking business, right? And talking is very easy. It's awesome. I love it. But it's you need to actually do organizing, in like the real world to be able to change that.
Well, someone says I'm listening, getting depressed instead of. I'm so sorry. Look, I'll be honest with you while you're at the gym. As someone that sometimes listens to podcasts when I'm working out, I mean, I'm sure you guys can imagine what the music I make, what I listen to when I'm working out. But definitely isn't Burgis talking on a run. Maybe Burgis is talking, but working out, no, unless he's talking shit.
Well, I will say the music point. I was doing it a little bit too, but I also saw, because I see everybody's image at the bottom of the screen when you don't see it on screen. I also saw Jake headbanging a little bit during the riff and the.
Oh, dope.
So.
Oh yeah, I was like, I gotta listen to more metal.
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive postgames on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.